So the 2024 to 2025 NBA season is quickly approaching, and as usual, I'm doing my preseason NBA awards predictions. Last year, I got 3 out of the 8 selections correct, so let's see if I can improve upon that. Starting off with the Defensive Player of the Year. Last season, Rudy Gobert won his 4th, tying the NBA record for the most DPOYs won in a career. I do think voter fatigue will play a role this season, and will hurt Rudy's chances to be able to repeat. But with that in mind, the biggest reason why I'm saying the award is going elsewhere is not because of what Rudy is or isn't doing, but it's because of the ascension of Victor Wembanyama. He was absolutely incredible on defense last season, and I expect a big improvement in his sophomore year. No player in the history of the league has ever won the Defensive Player of the Year while missing the playoffs, and the rookie Wembanyama came very close last season. If his Spurs could win only 22 games and lose 60, and he still is the runner-up to the award, then what do you think his chances will be of winning if he can get his Spurs even up to a 500 record? And now, with Chris Paul as their floor general, who is always improving a team's record the instant he joins them, I think that is a very realistic possibility. Not only should Wemby improve with the gain of experience and as he grows into his man body, but I think the Spurs are naturally going to win more ball games this year, making him the favorite to win the award. Next up is Rookie of the Year. First, I gotta give a shout out to Reed Sheppard, who was great in the NBA Summer League, and with the Houston Rockets, he'll have plenty of opportunities to fill up the stat sheet. But with that being said, the guy I'm going with is Zach Edey. And I know it's not really the most shocking or bold pick, but as a 7'4" player who's a good rebounder and has an excellent post game, he kind of reminds me of Rick Smits from the 1990s, as he has great footwork, great post moves, and a solid jump hook shot. After the departure of Steven Adams, Memphis was really hungry for a center that they can lean upon. And with Zach moving to the 5th spot, I think they'll slot a Defensive Player of the Year winner in Jaren Jackson Jr. to his more natural power forward position, and it'll be nice to see how these guys complement one another. It's also worth considering the fact that Memphis is going to be a lot better this year than they were last year, partially because they'll be completely healthy, they'll presumably have Ja Morant back for the entirety of a season, and they just have a deep roster overall. When teams improve dramatically over the previous season, that's when the voters start looking at their squad and are more likely to hand out awards. So for this reason, I think Zach is a prime candidate to win the Rookie of the Year. Now for Coach of the Year. A lot of times, the voters tend to go for guys who were leaders of overachieving teams, or in the very least, for younger teams who exceeded expectations. But I'm not going in that direction in this instance. My pick for Coach of the Year is actually Mike Malone. We know the Denver Nuggets are a solid Western Conference contender year in and year out, and as usual, I expect them to win a lot of games and be a contender for the first seed in the Western Conference, which naturally makes him a decent contender for the Coach of the Year award. But beyond that, they added Russell Westbrook, who tends to be one of the most difficult players to implement in the entire league. And from that standpoint, people are already starting to question if this will work in Denver. Not only do I think that Denver can pull it off, but I think that both Jokic and Mike Malone will receive a majority of the credit. If they're able to be the 1st or 2nd seed in the Western Conference, and bring Russell Westbrook back into a situation where he's on a team contending for a championship, then I really think that's going to bode well for his reputation when it comes to his leadership. Next is 6th Man of the Year, and last I checked on the Vegas odds, Malik Monk was the favorite to win the award. Personally, I'm going for the guy they had 2nd, which is Naz Reid. I truly believe that Naz Reid is one of, if not the most talented player in the entire league who's coming off the bench. He did win the award last year, but I don't expect voter fatigue to kick in just after one season. And if we're being honest, he'd probably be a starter on most NBA teams within the league. I think his numbers will increase yet again, and Minnesota will once again be competitive. And given his wonderful talent as a big man who can handle the ball, who can slash to the basket, and who can hit shots consistently from the perimeter, he seems like a safe bet to me. Next is the Most Improved Player Award. And this one is kind of a dart throw because you never know which guys are improving the most in the offseason. Almost all of it is behind the scenes, and we can't see these guys work out and how their progression is going. Right now, the early favorite is Victor Wembanyama. But honestly, I think that's a bit silly, given the fact that he's already a star player, and the expectations for him are astronomically high. So him exceeding those expectations seems very unlikely in my opinion. The player I'm looking at is Jonathan Kuminga for the Golden State Warriors. That's my pick, and a lot of it has to do with the opportunity. With Klay Thompson now leaving Golden State and heading to Dallas, Steph Curry and the Warriors will need another scorer to even further assert himself and pick up the slack that Klay left behind. Someone's numbers are going to get a boost from that absence, and I personally believe that Kuminga makes the most sense. Even last season, he made a significant jump from the year prior, and as an athletic scoring option, I see him really turning some heads this upcoming season. Next is Clutch Player of the Year. Once again, this one is also a bit of a dart throw. With that being said, I did get it right by predicting Steph Curry to win it last year. But I don't think Steph Curry will repeat, so the guy I'm looking at this time is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Simply put, SGA is one of the most skilled offensive players in the entire league. With his tremendous footwork, with his amazing handle, and with his fantastic jump shot, he could score seemingly at will, and he's only getting better. He has a game that's modeled after some of the best scoring wings in league history, and with his ability to create his own shot and get off a solid look in seemingly any situation, I think he's going to hit a bunch of clutch shots and several game winners, making him my choice as the winner this upcoming season. As far as Executive of the Year, I'm going with Daryl Morey from the Philadelphia 76ers. Usually, there's two factors at play for a guy to win Executive of the Year. One, the team has to do really well. And two, the guy had to make some significant moves throughout the season. And obviously, one of those was picking up Paul George. Now with Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, this Philadelphia 76ers team has the makings of a very scary and overpowered squad. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win 60 to 63 games. And if that's the case, that's when they're going to start looking at the executives that made this whole thing happen. Last, but definitely not least, is the MVP award. And I picked him last year, and I'm picking him again this year. I'm going with Luka Doncic. Obviously, Nikola Jokic is going to be in the mix, but after yet another MVP, I seriously think voter fatigue is really going to kick in, and he would have to do something astronomically impressive in order to win the MVP award once more. It isn't just about Luka's talent, because last year, he averaged 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. So honestly, what could he really do better? But the thing is, his Mavericks were just a 5th seed. And now, with more chemistry, with the experience of going to the NBA Finals, and with the addition of Klay Thompson, who I am on record as saying is going to have a major bounce back season in this new atmosphere, I think the Mavericks are going to be much, much better. In this regular season, I wouldn't be surprised to see them be a top seed in the Western Conference. And that is that requirement that Luka has always been missing. Remember back in the day when Leonardo DiCaprio never had an Oscar, and everybody was talking about when he's finally going to get one. And it took so long that they finally just gave him the award for seemingly one of his less deserving roles. Or look at Kobe Bryant when he finally won the award in 2008. He was an MVP candidate year in and year out. He had a chance at winning it in 2003 and 2006, but for various narratives and for not winning enough regular season games, they just refused to give him the award. And then finally, when his Lakers were a top seed in the regular season, they gave it to him in 2008. I think Luka finds himself in a similar position, where he's been in the mix time and time again, and he's just waiting to snag that award for himself. All the voters seem to be waiting for is the instant where his team becomes a top seed in the Western Conference, because I think it's just waiting to happen at this point. In the last 5 seasons, he's finished in the top 8 spots of the MVP voting. So in my opinion, he's very due. A dark horse candidate is Joel Embiid, as his Philadelphia 76ers should win a lot of games. But again, I'm sticking with Luka. So now you've heard my predictions, what are yours? I look forward to hearing your choices in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.